This is, yeah, sorry. Okay. Prahlad,
Yes.
you want to read?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Your voice
Nama,
is not audible. You can come close to the microphone.
one minute. Is it okay now?
Little better. Yeah.
नानापचार चितपूजानाम् अर्थो बान्धव प्रेमानैवा भक्त हृदयं सुखा विरुद्धतां सह यावत् सुश्री जठरे जठरा पिपासा तावत् सुखाया भवतो ननु भक्ताया पाये.
Ramanand Raya continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotees. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nam Vishnupada Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Sunyavadi Paschyata Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading this conversation between Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Ramananda Raya. What a great conversation to educate the society in the perfection of life. What one should do. Lord Krishna explains that one should follow a Mahajana. Mahajana yena gatasya panta. Because great souls they know. And here the conversation is between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than the Lord Krishna himself, and Ramananda Raya, who is known as Visakha Sakhi. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Raya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay, let's talk about some philosophy. Why Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to do? Because he wanted to make Ramananda Raya speak, realize and speak also, and set example for others. From this conversation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to establish the perfection for human life. So he asked this question. Please, refer a verse because you're well versed in the scriptures. Refer a verse. What is the perfection for human life, human being? So Ramananda Raya gave so many references actually. He gave so many references, many of them from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gives instruction in many places. Sometimes he said that, Varnashrama Dharma one must do is prescribed duty. Sometimes he said, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in charity, give it as an offering to me. Sometimes he says, giving up everything. Sarva Dharman Paritaja Mamekam Saran Braja. In this way, Krishna is making so many points and Ramananda is repeating those things. But every time, it's an amazing thing. Lord Chaitanya himself is rejecting all this. He says, okay, this is external, this cannot be doable, like that. So he's giving a perfect solution to the people of this age of Kali who are actually suffering due to the influence of Kali. So last week we discussed. At this point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, that is all right, but you still can speak more on the subject. Ramananda then replied, ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all perfection, ecstatic love. Well, how many of us can have it? Ecstatic love. How can we get it? So here, Ramananda Raya continues, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. This we all always have experience, right? When you're hunger and thirst, when you're hungry, we love it. The food tastes more, um, we relish more, delicious. And same when we are thirsty also. So same way, he's saying similarly when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, pure love is without any ulterior motive. Anya vilasita sanyam jnana karmadhi anivritam. Ahaitiki apritiyata yatma suprasiddhate. Without any ahaitiki, cause, apritiyata, uninterrupted. When one renders devotional service, pure devotional service, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotees. So when you love means an act of service. The love is shown to the act of service. So Ramananda is saying when we serve with pure love, with various activities we do, just like festival, we engaged in so many activities. What happens? Will awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. He's saying, if you do that in pure love and engage in so many activities for the satisfaction of the Lord and devotees, that will awaken the transcendental bliss. Let's see what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says here. Please read it. Prabhu, you're in mute. Nrsimha Praladeswar Prabhu, you're mute. Okay, let me read. Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukrite Na Labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Anyone want to read the purport?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please read.
The previous two verses are included in the Padyavat 13, 14 and anthology compiled by Sri Rupa Goswami. Verse 69 refers to devotional service in faith, and verse 70 refers to devotional service rendered out of intense greed. The first is devotional service rendered in accordance with the regulative principles, and the second refers to spontaneous loving service of the Lord without extraneous endeavor. Henceforward, the basic principle underlying the talks between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy will be spontaneous loving service to the Lord. The regulative principle, according to the injunction of the Shastras, are necessary insofar as one's original dormant Krishna consciousness is not spontaneously awakened. An example of spontaneous action to the following of rivers into the ocean, nothing can stop the flow of water. Similarly, when one's dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, it spontaneously flows to the lotus feet of Krishna without impediment. Whatever will be spoken henceforth by Ramananda Rai based on spontaneous love will be agreeable to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord will ask him more and more about this subject.
Very
Hare
good.
Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So Here Ramananda Raya continues, he says that pure devotional service cannot be had even, one cannot get, with so much of pious activities in hundreds and thousands of life. And I have done so much of charity, I have never hurt anyone, I have given so much of seva to others, and I did so much of austerity. I deserve Krishna prema. It doesn't work, looks like. No, pure activities, the pious activities leads to pious results in this material world. Not pure love. Devotion, Krishna prema doesn't come. He says that one has to pay the price, and that price is intense, great to have it. Very intense, great to have it. Just like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very intensely requesting his spiritual master, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Narottam Das Thakur is very intensely requesting his spiritual master, Loknath Swami Maharaj. So, this is that's the only can bring. If anywhere is available, if you can get it, just purchase it without delay. Basically, it's not available. That's the point. So here, Prabhupada writes in that purport that the two verses which were taken from Padyavali, one refers to devotional service in faith. By faith means the sadhana bhakti is referring to. Sadhana bhakti means we don't have the taste, attraction for Krishna. We don't have it for the service, but simply because it is instructed, one must do it. Because it is instructed. Just like we don't have a taste for holy name, we don't have taste for Krishna, we don't have taste for anything. But at least we are trying to develop under the order of Srila Prabhupada and spiritual masters. We chant Hare Krishna and do some services so that gradually we can develop a natural taste. Right. So that is sadhana bhakti. Then another one is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means spontaneous love. Rupa Goswami explains many examples of spontaneous love. But one really cannot get the spontaneous love just like that. One can speculate. And as far as I remember, spontaneous love, also one has to take one devotee, resident of Brajadham, and follow them. That's spontaneous love. So one is Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti is the sadhana means rendering service according to the regulatory principles. The other one is spontaneous love. So here it says that Rupa Goswami, what is going to speak is in spontaneous love. Similarly, when one's dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, it spontaneously flows to the lotus feet of Krishna without impediment. At the beginning, when we do devotional service, a lot of impediments will come outside impediments from within. People may discourage, hey, what are you doing this Hare Krishna, what are you chanting, all these things. And we may not have also enthusiasm to do it. Oh, today is bad weather, why should I go and take association? Why don't I sit one day? What is wrong with the just refraining from taking association just for one day? All these things will come. But those who are determined, because they know is sadhana needs to be performed, no matter what they like or don't like, because it is suggested, I must do it. That's sadhana bhakti. But when dormant Krishna consciousness awakened, it's a natural, spontaneous. A devotee will do everything for the satisfaction of the Lord, and nothing can in this world can stop him. No excuse. One doesn't give any excuse. So, any questions or comments anyone wants to make at this time? Did it make sense? We all go through these phases. We all will go through these phases. And those who have attained perfection and developed, awakened the love for Krishna consciousness, the love for Krishna is spontaneous. And that example is the residents of Braja. They many times they act in that platform, but we cannot imitate. We cannot imitate. We follow the teachings of our teachers given by Srila Prabhupada and his followers. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, comments on this. I want to hear if anyone has any comment on this. Okay, we'll move then. Text 71, please.
সখী কহে এহ হয় আগে কহ আর রায় কহে প্রাচ্য প্রেম সর্বসাধ্যতা
प्रभु कहे एहो होय आगे कहो आर राय कहे दास्य प्रेम सर्वसाध्य सार. So these are the spontaneous love is mentioned. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's translation. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, "This is all right, but if you know more, please tell me." Because they furthermore. In reply, Ramananda said, spontaneous loving service in servitude as exchanged by master and servant is the highest perfection. So in the spontaneous love, it means the relationship is already there. The particular rasa with Krishna, one's living entity's particular relationship is already manifested. Because without relationship, there is no service. One relationship has to be there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, I understand spontaneous love. Do you know something more? Ramananda said, okay, spontaneous loving service in servitude, just as exchanged by master and servant, is the highest perfection at this time. Spontaneous loving service to the Lord is called devotional service with an intimate attachment between the servitor and the served. This intimacy is called mamata. Between the servitor and the served, there's a feeling of oneness. This mamata begins with dasya prema, service rendered to the master by the servant. Unless there is such a relationship, the loving affairs between the Lord and his devotees are not actually fixed. Yeah, there has to be a relationship. When there is a service, there is a relationship. When there is a relationship, there is a service. Let's say bhakti, and somehow it's very difficult to understand by many, because they think the Lord is impersonal, everything is void. There is no question of devotional service, bhakti. But here bhakti means Krishna Prabhupada wrote loving devotional service. It means there's a relationship. Anyone and everyone who is engaged in that service, one has this relationship with Krishna. That one must accept. When the devotee feels the Lord is my master and renders service unto him, Krishna consciousness is awakened. This fixed consciousness is on a higher platform than simple cognizance of love of Godhead. One can know God is there, God is Almighty, is Supreme Lord, His person is existing. But there is no relationship is not there. Because there is no service. Relationship and service cannot be really separated. So, at least the beginning, the better than just knowing the Lord is Almighty, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is knowing the Lord, master and servant relationship one has. That is appreciated further. Any comment? We are going through different relationships now at this time. Okay, anyone can guess what is the next relationship at least? From Dasya, what is the next level of relationship will be discussed?
Kakka?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Anyone who wants to read the Bengali?
Jannama Srutimatrena Umam Bhavati Nirmalaha Tasya Tirtha Padam Kimba Dasamrita Vasishyate.
Yeah, thank you. Now your sister sound works well. I don't know what did you do. Now it worked. Translation. A man becomes purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet create the holy places of pilgrimage. Therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become his servants? So, Ramanandra is saying, a person becomes purified simply hearing the Lord's holy name. Simply hearing the holy name, one can be purified. Then, who is that? Whose holy name? Lord's Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet itself creates the places of pilgrimage. Like in India, you see there are many places of pilgrimage, and sorry for that. The many places of pilgrimage is because of the Lord's pastimes, and the Lord's lotus feet is marked, especially Braja. The Lord's lotus feet is marked, so that becomes a pilgrimage. And at the same time, when the devotees also go any place, that also plays a big pilgrimage. Tirtha kurbanti tirthani. Yudhishthira Maharaj speaks to Vidura. When Vidura comes home, after traveling all the pilgrimage places, he comes to Yudhishthira's home. And Yudhishthira Maharaj says that, your presence itself is a place of pilgrimage. Why? Because your heart is filled with love for Krishna. Because Lord Krishna resides in your heart, that's why you're also you're also place of pilgrimage. Tirtha kurbanti tirthani. So that's why he says, therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become his servants? Okay. Anyone who read the purport, please?
This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 9.5.16 and is an admission by the great sage Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni, a caste Brahmana and great yogi, used to hate Maharaj Ambarisha. When he decided to chastise Maharaj Ambarisha through his yogic powers, he was chased by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When things were settled, he said, when the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is heard by any person, that person is immediately sanctified. The Supreme Lord is master of the devotees, and the devotees under his shelter naturally come to own his opulences.
This is the realization by Durvasa Muni. We all know this pastime. He did not understand the value of devotee. Just like many times, we also may not appreciate it. We take it for externally, grantedly, because we regularly meet. Durvasa Muni say, what these devotees, they are sentimentalists. And Ambarish Maharaj is considered as very inferior. And he tried to punish Ambarish Maharaj. And later he realized that, there is a topmost devotees, topmost yogis. Because what happens is, when a devotee engages in loving relationship with Krishna, Krishna himself, engages his yogic power for the protection of the Lord. for the protection of the devotees. Same way with Prahlad Maharaj, constantly protected. Same way with Ambarish Maharaj, he was protected like that. So even though the devotees may not manifest the yogic power by themselves, but the Lord's yoga, because Lord is the Yogeshwara, he manifests his potencies for the protection of the devotees. So many things. The Prabhupada also did so much of services because the Lord's desire. That's why Durvasa Muni is realizing, he realizes that, when the holy name of the Supreme Personality of God is heard by any person, that person is immediately sanctified. The Supreme Lord is the master of the devotees, and the devotees under his shelter naturally come to own his opulences. Who wants to be rich? Who wants to be protected? He says that when you take shelter of Krishna, automatically, because you are obedient son, you inherit. Everything belongs to Krishna. Then somewhere else is mentioned, right? A obedient son, a good child, very easily, naturally inherits the property of his father. So same way, Durvasa Muni's statement, when one person becomes a devotee of the Lord, and naturally the Lord's opulence come to own his opulences. They can attain those things. Any comments, discussions on this? And everyone may feel tired in the festival. It's very beautiful, isn't it? These conversations are awakening. It just feels that we should have full conviction in the service of the Lord, full conviction in the Lord and the devotees and the devotional service. It's very, very beautiful references actually. Text 73, please.
Bhavantam ivanucharan nirantaraha prashanto nihesha manoratha rathantaraha kadaham aikantika nitto kinkara praharshya shami shanath jivitam.
By observing you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? This is a statement made by the great saintly devotee Yamunacharya in his Stotra Ratna 43. This is again reference.
Well, that's all here. This room is okay. Yeah, all here. Like,
This is a reference again given by Ramananda Raya with regards to loving devotional service in relationship to the Lord in the mode of a servant. So Yamunacharya is saying, by serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. This is the secret he's saying. So basically, every one of us to take some service, begin with, and then eventually advance in such a way, take fully Krishna conscious service. So he's saying, when shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? So here we can see Yamunacharya is saying the service to the Lord is a pleasure. One has to hanker. At the beginning we read, right? By thousands of lives, if you render your worldly duties so perfectly well, or if you do charity, you do austerity, you can do so many things, but yet you cannot get the devotional service. Only way you can get devotional service by sincerely, striving, hankering, desiring for it. And here Yamunachari's example, he said, when shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant? Actually, Lord fulfills one's desire. We have to desire, that's it. Always feel joyful to have such a perfect master. Desire for the devotional service, be happy by getting the devotional service, and be grateful. Be grateful, because devotional service is very, very rare. Okay, text 74. Anyone has more comment on this? Any comment, please? Okay, 74, please.
প্রভু কহে এও হয় কিছু আগে যার রায় কহে সখ্য প্রেম সর্বসাধ্য সার।
Now he came to the point. Next. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that sounds very good. The perfectionist sounds very good. One can render in devotional service in pure love, in a mood of servant, right? Hearing this from Ramananda Raya, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. Go further, please. In reply, Ramananda Raya said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. In all these conclusions, he came one by one in rendering devotional service, right? In a raganuga, spontaneous love, in the mode of servant, with the relationship is perfection. But it's furthermore, and this is the loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. It's better than servant is in fraternity, friendship. Okay, who wants to read that purport, please? Anyone? Sika Mataji?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead.
As long as loving service is rendered to the Lord in the master-servant relationship, there is some fear, for the servant is always afraid of the master, despite the intimacy of self-interest. In this stage, the servant is always afraid of the master and respectful of him. When the devotee is further advanced, he has nothing to fear. He considers the Lord and himself on equal level. At such a time, the devotee is fully convinced that Lord Krishna is a friend and cannot at all be dissatisfied if the devotee lives with him on an equal level. This understanding is called Vishrambha, that is devoid of a respectful attitude. When this attitude is chosen, it becomes Sakhya Prema, or love of Godhead in friendship. On this stage, there is developed consciousness of equality between the Lord and the devotee. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very nice. So, relationship in master and servant is nice, is appreciated. But looks like Lord is not completely happy because in that relationship there can be some hesitation, fear. Did I do right? Did I do wrong? Because awe and reverence is there very much, becomes an obstacle in the Lord's pleasure. So because in this stage, the servant is always afraid of the master. You will see in many incidents, and all the time, a servant will be always afraid and fearful. They do out of fear many times. And if you see Vidura was a prime minister in Hastinapur. He was serving Dhritarashtra. He was serving Dhritarashtra. But if you notice that Vidura many times chastised Dhritarashtra, isn't it true? He chastised many times Dhritarashtra. Who can chastise to their master? Who can chastise their master? So, when the relationship of a jiva with the Lord in the mode of servant, when it becomes a little intense, condensed, what happens? One serves an equal level. The Rupa Goswami explains in Ujjal Nilamani and Nectar of Devotion, there are many different types of servitudeship also, and friendship as well. So when the service becomes like on equal level, one feels. At such a time, devotee is fully convinced that Lord Krishna is a friend and cannot at all be satisfied if the devotee lives with him on the equal level. Cannot at all be dissatisfied. So when one living entity, Jiva, the devotee, lives on equal level, it's not dissatisfied, he's happy. Because in a friendship level, Sakhya Prema. Sakhya means love of God and friendship. So all these rasas we are being taken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the conversation with Ramananda Raya, the perfection, the highest perfection. The living entity can have it. So we move to the next one.
Itam satam brahma sukhanubhuttaya dasham gatanam paradaivatena mayasritang naradarkena shaddham brijuhu kitapunna punjaha.
This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Neither those engaged in the self-realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with Lord in friendship as cowboys. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10. This is a statement made by Sukadeva Goswami, Bhagavatam 10.12.11, who appreciated the good fortune of the cowboys who played with Krishna and ate with him on the banks of Yamuna. So here it is referring, giving example of service or spontaneous love as a friend. Spontaneous love as a friend, accepting the Lord as a friend in a spontaneous love. And in Braj, you see Krishna had so many friends, childhood friends. They all used to go and herd the cows in the pasture ground, and they used to, play with each other. They used to joke with each other. Sometimes, if Krishna loses the game, Krishna has to carry the other person in the back. This is the beautiful rasa Krishna enjoys. However, these all cannot be attained just by any kind of perfection of yogic process or Brahman realization, or in any way one cannot attain this. Sukadeva Goswami says these children, they attain this position of a friend, spontaneous love, after accumulating volumes of pious activities. One cannot really speculate or pretend, like a friend. No. After accumulating volumes of pious activities. Now the question comes, what is pious activities? Before it is said, with pious activities one cannot attain the love of Godhead, then why it is in pious activities? Krita Punya Punja. Those who have accumulated volumes of the pious activities, these volumes of the pious activities are not the different types of pious activities. One is Karma Janita, Jnana Janita, and Bhakti Janita. So these are the devotional credits is referred. These are the devotional credits which has been referred here. So all these boys, they were, in the past life, they engaged in devotional service. They accumulated all these volumes of pious activities, and they are having relationship with Krishna as a friend, as a friend. So this friendship is considered better, superior than the servitorship. I think I can stop it. I would like to take any comments, questions, please. Here. Please excuse me if anything did not make any sense. Any questions, please? Basically, today we discussed that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu making Ramananda Rai realize for our benefit. So many instructions, so many situations is given in the Shastras. But the perfection of living entity, is taking us in a journey. And we discussed about two kind of service. One is serving as a Vaidhi Bhakti, regulatory principles, and serving in spontaneous love. And serving in spontaneous love also is very much different degrees. We discussed about servitorship, and we discussed about the friendship. We will discuss more in the next week. Any comment? Okay, so we will stop it here. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarvyascha kripa sindhuveva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo